I want to talk about the specific ways that writing practice has transformed my life. And in later videos, we'll go over actual writing so you can see the transformation and more specifically, these qualities I'm going to talk about. But for now, I'm just going to give just a general, sort of high level overview of all the ways that writing practice has transformed how I show up in the world. And I can't think of a better way to start than the foundation of everything that's going to come after, which is self love. My gosh, self love. If you'd asked me if I had self love before, if I loved myself before, I couldn't have told you yes. I don't know if that question would have registered with me. Self love. It must be some sort of concept. I mean, even in this first journal on, what was it? I think it was November 30th, 2021. I wrote, "Why am I not enough?" I believe that anytime life didn't go according to plan, which, spoiler alert, it rarely does, it was because of me. If I didn't get into, let's see, when I didn't get into my professional fraternity the first time around, I thought it was because I wasn't, confident enough or polished, if you want to say that word. If I didn't get into an internship, it was because I wasn't smart enough or prepared enough. If I didn't get the girl, it was because I wasn't attractive enough, flirty enough. Hell, even tall enough was a thought that popped into my head. Life went wrong, didn't go according to plan because of me, because I was inadequate, deficient in some way. But over time, through writing so much, gosh, I can't tell you how much I've written over the years. I've been able to nurture this seemingly elusive self love, this concept of self love in my life. To be able to say, "I love you, Dennis," and feel it when I say it, and not feel like a foreign language to say those three words. It shows up in just how I take care of myself, how I speak to myself. I mean, I remember I got my wisdom teeth removed, I think last fall, and I mean, if you've gotten your wisdom tooth taken out, it's not pleasant. I just flopped onto my bed, and I just couldn't help but smile and laugh at myself as I said, "Stay the fuck down." Because in the past, I probably would have guilted myself into getting up and being productive, even though I had two gaping holes in my gums. But self love, it is everything. It is the foundation of every other quality you'll experience or cultivate in life. And I can't think of a better one to follow that up with than compassion. Because when you cultivate love for yourself, you cultivate compassion. It requires compassion to understand, to see who you are in all of its depths and wonders. And you're able to do that with yourself when you're able to understand yourself, to fully see yourself. You're able to do so with others in a pretty touching and just, it still blows my mind, but life doesn't make sense to the mind. An example of this would be with my own parents. I had a friend visiting me in New York, and I want to say the summer of 2022. We were sitting in Madison Square Park, bright sunny day, just by the fountain, and just talking about family, specifically our relationships with our parents. We both connected on the fact that we didn't have great relationships, that they were strained. And at one point, I said, if I go to my grave not having a relationship with my parents, I'm okay with that. That's where I was at in my life. Despite the healing I thought I'd done, I clearly had more to heal. Because if that's how I felt towards my parents, if I wasn't able to love them, to demonstrate compassion for them, that means I wasn't able to with myself. And it would take, gosh, almost a full year later, through, again, life just unfolding in the magnificent way it does, for me to have all these experiences, these moments that seem so inconsequential, from coming across a book to a trip to Portugal and meeting people, to have all these dots line up together, and for me to be able to capture all of that through writing and realize that I wasn't being who I am. I wasn't showing up how I wanted to in the world, which is to be unconditionally loving towards myself and others. And when I wrote that down, it was, I kid you not, just like that. I dropped it. I went home, surprised my mom for Mother's Day. Saw Dad too. And ever since then, our relationship is unlike anything I could have ever imagined for myself. Especially if you told me that back in June of 2022 at the park. I hear things, have conversations that I would have never expected I'd ever be able to have. Yeah. Writing fueled all of that. Additionally, beyond compassion, there's self-reliance, independence, if you want to call it that. confidence, whatever word you want to use, but just a deep trust in myself to be able to navigate the throes of life and know that I'll be okay, more than okay, because I have the most incredible person with me at all times, myself. It's through writing that you can cultivate that relationship by empowering yourself, by showing up for yourself, by affirming yourself and challenging yourself. I mean, I literally went from not being able to pick out my own suit. I had to call my mom and ask her what color I should get. This is when I was graduating college. I was 22. I couldn't, I mean, even earlier in college, I mean, I couldn't even go to the dining hall or do anything alone. I mean, I got lonely just my senior year. I lived in an apartment with 2 floors. I was the only person on the first floor. My 3 other roommates were down below, and I would just get lonely just being up there in my room. I would hear them like chattering, whenever I'd like scurry downstairs and be like, "What's up, guys? What's going on? What are we talking about?" Because I just couldn't be alone. I didn't want to be with myself, spend time with myself, show up for myself. But now, gosh, I spend so much time alone, and because I just love spending time with myself, I trust myself, I enjoy my own company, and that's led me to be able to literally do this, to quit my day job and travel the world pursuing my dreams. Talking to you. I know I kind of mentioned a few different things there, like self-reliance and then not, loneliness and all that. You get the picture. Never would have imagined I'd be traveling the world alone. Not a chance. Also, emotional maturity, which I sort of alluded to just now. But I just was not able to not process, but feel my emotions, excuse me, to sit with them and to fully experience them. Because processing is when you're trying to put them through a filter and to, you know, solve a problem. And so you view emotions as problems that you need to bypass and solve as quickly as possible to get back to homeostasis or normal. And I was really great at processing. Well, not I wasn't great at that either, but I was really great at repressing my emotions, not being with them, not being with myself, not being able to soothe myself. I made a different conversation about this, but when things didn't work out with my crush the first time, I literally laid on the floor of my room and just listened to Post Malone, so I wouldn't feel anything. If I didn't get a text back from her, or it was, a handful of hours or whatever before her last response, like, I would get like activated and triggered and start to, get these anxious, like grudging thoughts and whatnot. But now, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still have and experience an anxious thought from time to time. But now and through writing, when you write about your emotions and you put them on paper, you see that they're not real in the sense that your emotions are so often just a reaction you're attached to an outcome or something, it didn't go your way, and you experience a thought, you're attached to it, and then it creates all these other thoughts that you become that emotion. You wallow in it, as opposed to just recognizing it's just something you're experiencing, something that'll pass. You don't, well, what I meant to say is, it's not solid until you give it solidness. And writing kind of puts that objective distance between you and it to be able to see that. So nowadays, when I do experience an anxious thought or difficult emotions, I'm able to see it from afar and to recognize it, to be more aware and conscious of it, because I'm just, I guess, trained to, or it's just more natural to now from just the sheer amount of reps of doing so through writing. Additionally, presence. It's hard to say if I was not present before. It's weird to kind of compare it, but I would say now I experience these moments where I feel deeply connected to life and the world around me in a way that I can't say I ever did before. And really, I mean, I feel a big part of that is through writing, and specifically taking note of the little moments, the mundane ones. Because so often we're used to, especially with writing, journaling, to only thinking about and experiencing the highs and the lows. What about everything in between? Because what it is to be alive, to be human, is to experience the full spectrum, not just the ends. And when you embody that, writing helps you become more conscious of all of these moments. You tend to move through life, tend to show up in life more present, more connected with life around you, the experience in front of you. I mean, it's hard to describe. I mean, I remember like the last day I was in New York, about to move my stuff into my parents' apartment. I was just sitting at the park with an almond croissant in the sun with my journal, and I just felt what I could best describe as just like this bliss, harmony, whatever you want to call it, just by sitting there, being with that moment. I can sit at a poetry reading, or just be around other people, strangers in a foreign land, just tear up because life is so beautiful and we get to experience it, be present for it. And the last one, again, there's plenty of other qualities you could describe, but actually, no, not a last one. Another one just popped up that I'm going to say first, but curiosity. When you write a lot and you inquire about yourself in the way that I'm going to explain in this writing practice or approach, you just become a lot more curious, which is how you are naturally as a child. Asking about everything from why is the sky blue to why does the wind blow? Anything. You experience life with greater intimacy when you're curious. And not only that, with relationships too. You cultivate these deeper, more meaningful relationships. These relationships are a reflection of a relationship with yourself, how you show up for yourself. And I'm grateful for all of the friends and relationships I had throughout my life, high school, college, whatnot. But there's been this tangible shift, I'd say, after I started to walk this journey, this path of nurturing this relationship with myself. Self-love, what do you want to call it? My relationships now are, there's different depths to it because at the end of the day, you can only meet someone as deeply as you've met yourself. And that's not something you realize until you've gone deep with yourself and you realize just how much more there is to really know and be with someone. Relationships now, they bring me so much joy and fulfillments. I can't say I experienced the same degree of before, the same depth of as before. And lastly, faith. Writing, when you just document your life to like nth degree, again, not just the highs or the lows, but even the most mundane things, like this first page, this very first entry, writing, spending time with the boys, cards, cooking, you know, that's the depth I was writing at when I started journaling. But writing the mundane things, but keeping track of everything, because the mundane can be, you never know what you can glean from mundane. And what I've experienced is that it's normal moments that often have the most meaning. They can be pointers to difficult, painful questions and challenges that you may not have encountered before if you didn't fall into these rabbit holes with writing and just writing about everything, to being able to discover these blissful, peaceful, just moments of joy and whatnot that you can really show up and be present for. And when you're able to write just all of this, when you're able to just see how all of these dots, these seemingly disconnected dots, from the most painful, difficult lows that you never thought you would have clawed your way out of, to these moments of bliss and just peace in life. It gives you faith that everything's going to be okay. I mean, I used to be someone who, like I said earlier, felt like life happened to me. So anything went wrong, it's like, life is working against me right now. Without realizing that in those moments, those were experiences I needed to go through, that life unfolded for me, that would push me towards growth and moments of synchronicity that I could have never expected. And being able to just have all of that in writing and being able to, through writing, really spark some of those journeys and experiences, it nurtures this deep level of faith in life in which I can say, I know everything's going to be okay. It always has been, and always will be. So what's there to be afraid of? So those are some of the different ways writing practice has transformed my life. Because at the end of the day, these qualities that I mentioned and whatnot, they are how you show up in the world. And that's the most important thing. It's just how are you in the world? Because if you can change how you are in the world, if you can transform how you are in the world, you transform your life, your experience. So, with that, I appreciate you for listening, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.